Hey everyone, today we're going to be working on making a watercolored piece of paper with all different kinds of colors on it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to get some water on our brush and we're going to get one of our colors wet. Now the only colors we're going to be using today are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. We're going to skip black and brown, and the reason we're going to do that is because we want our paintings to be really nice and bright when we are finished. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick a color to start with, and I'm going to start with the yellow because I really like that color, but you can start with whatever color you'd like. And on our paper today we're going to be doing what is called abstract art, which we talked about earlier this year. And what abstract art is it's art that is just shapes and lines. It doesn't really look like anything specific. So I'm not going to paint a cat or a dog. I'm just going to paint some lines and shapes. So I started out with a triangle with my yellow. Now maybe I'm going to make a line. Now the cool thing about this project is we are, when these are all dry, going to be using them to make one big project. So it doesn't really matter what colors you use where on your project, because eventually they're all going to be cut up and they're going to be put together in a different way, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to just start painting some different shapes and some lines. I've done some wavy lines now. I did a triangle and a circle. I'm going to add a square. Maybe another circle. And then I'm going to pick another color, and this is where it's going to be important that you follow directions. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a color that is a neighbor color to the color we just used. So I just used yellow, so yellow's neighbors are orange and green. I'm going to use orange. Now, I'm going to start painting my orange right next to my yellow, and those colors are going to blend a little like we learned about earlier this year, which is pretty cool, but because they're neighbor colors, they won't turn brown. And again, I'm going to go to that orange, and I'm going to go right alongside what I did with my yellow. I'm kind of tracing around different parts of my picture, right? I'm tracing around the circle, I traced around that line. And I'm going to keep going on both sides of my line. So I had a yellow line there, now I'm going to add some orange on either side of it, which also kind of makes that yellow stand out. It looks really nice together. I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. So I'm going to go around some of these wavy yellow lines that I had. And you'll see they're starting to blend together, and that's okay, because what we're looking for is just some really nice blending on our paper. Now I finished with my orange, and so I need to go to one of orange's neighbors. So I could either go back to yellow or I could go up to red. It's up to you to decide what you would like to do. I'm going to do, I think, red next. So, I just realized I have a little more I'm going to fill in here. So make sure you check both sides of all your yellow first, and then we'll move on. So now we're going to move on to red. That's the neighbor color I chose. And we're going to start to go around the orange with the red. And again, those colors are going to continue to mix, which is pretty cool. Now, I started with warm colors, but if you want to, you could start with a green or a blue or a purple, and then you would end up doing more cool colors. Alright, now that I'm finishing up doing my red around the outside of my colors, it's time for me to think about what color I'm going to do next. And if you look at my paint set, the next color that is after red is black. And remember in the beginning I told you we're not going to use black today, so instead of using black, we're going to skip black, skip brown, and we'll go to purple. So if you get to red, you can either do orange or you can do purple, okay? If you get to purple, purple's neighbors then are going to be blue and red. Another easy way to figure this out is to look at our color wheel. If you get to the color red, look at the color wheel in the back of the room and look for the color that is next to red on either side. Red is next to orange and purple. I'm going to go back to purple. Now again, we're going to go around the outside of our red, and some of your spaces might start to get filled in, like this one that I just filled here, and the one here, and that's okay. I'm going to go around all of the red that I see. Now that I've gone around all my red with purple, it's time for me to go to my next color. For purple, again, I can either do blue or I can go back to red. Again, if you need help with that, look at the color wheel. I think instead of going to red again, I'm going to go to blue next, because I like to use all of the colors, but it's up to you to decide what colors you would like to use. And I'm going to start to go around the outside of my purple with my blue. And now that most of the inside part of my painting has gotten filled in, I can start to make some new lines and shapes with this color. So I'm going to start to go off in maybe some other direction. So a wavy line, maybe another circle. Maybe a little more blue over here. Maybe some coming down here. Alright, now that I've finished going around my purple with blue and then adding a few other lines, I can go to one of blue's neighbor colors, which are green or purple, and continue working. Now remember, we're going to go around both sides of each color. So I'm going around the green, and on the other side of the blue there's other colors. So I'm not going to go there. I'm going to look for places that are still white and go around those. So that's important to remember, that we only want to go where there's not paint yet. And now green's neighbor colors are yellow and blue, so I could go back to yellow if I want, or I could go back to blue. I'm going to go back to yellow because, again, like I said, I'm going to try and use all of the colors. And I'm going to go around the outside of that green. And you can see kind of where it's going to start to do the same thing again. So now I will do my yellow paint, and then I would go back to orange and red, or I could go to the other direction. So now that I've done yellow, I could go back to green, and then blue and purple, and go back the other way. So it's up to you to decide how you want to go around with your colors. This project is going to help us to remember that colors blend the best with colors that are their neighbors. And if we always blend with neighbor colors, we shouldn't end up with brown, unless you accidentally use brown or black. But as long as we use our neighbor colors, we should always be okay to blend. I finished my yellow, now moving on to orange. Alright friends, you will continue this process until you've filled your entire paper, and then after you've filled your entire paper, you're going to bring it up to the red line, and you are going to stand there and wait for me to put it on the drying rack. Remember that you should not slide it in the drying rack yourself. Please wait for me to do it for you. On the counter, I have set up a cup with paintbrushes for each table. One person from your table will need to go and get your cup of paintbrushes with water. Another person from your table will need to meet me by the color trays so that we can get your watercolor sets out.